Hello, this is Jeff Scott, your instructor for 152-145 Advanced Java Programming. I've already done the lecture for our Chapter 11, I guess it is, on GUI Applications Part 1. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually replicate what is shown in the book starting on page 813, and that is this Brandis Bagel application. So what we're going to make is something that looks, when we get all done, that looks like this. As you can see, it has 4 different panels in it. In the north panel, we have just simply the text that's going to display here. Welcome to Brandis Bagel House. Then we have our bagel panel here, and as it says, this is going to contain the different types of bagels. In the center, we've got our toppings panel, and that's going to contain check boxes for the toppings we'd like on our bagels. And finally, we've got our coffee panel. All right, we're not going to have a special panel for the buttons, and the author will talk about that a little bit later. And as they says, after the classes have been created, we can create objects from them and then add them. So in other words, what we'll have is we'll have a special class just for this, just for this, just for this, and just for this. And then some kind of a demo. All right, so I'm just going to start coding the stuff that's actually shown in the book. So the first is the greetings panel that's on page 814. So I'm going to switch back into Eclipse and just create that. First, I want to come in and create a new Java project. And I'm just going to call this, how about Brandis? We'll call it Brandis Bagel House. Okay? All right, so that's the name. And I'm going to come in here next and do a new package, as we always do, edu.blackhawk.jscott. And then we'll come in and we'll add our first class. Again, we're going to call that greeting panel. All right, and that will extend JPanel, but we'll put that in just a minute. All right, let's put a comment up at the top. And it can say right here, this is the greeting panel, which exists in the northern portion of our screen. The greeting panel, take this right out of the book here, is a specialized JPanel class that displays a greeting, hence the name, for the application window. Okay, so that's the first one that we're going to create. All right, again, not much to this particular class. So if you are following along, I'm on page 814. So public class greeting panel, the first thing we want to say is that it extends JPanel. All right, if we get any errors like this one, we'll let this system fix it for us in just a minute. But let's put everything else in here first. All right, first we have the constructor. In fact, that's all that's really in here, I believe, and that's greeting panel. We'll create our J label. Remember, what that is supposed to say is, welcome to Brandis Bagel House. And after we've created it, we want to then add the J label to the greeting panel. So we're going to get some errors probably as we go through and start doing this, but don't worry about it. We'll get them fixed. First, let's start right here. It says we should import JPanel. Well, let's do that. All right, that got rid of that error. And here it says we should import JLabel. So we've added these two import statements, and you can see import Java x.swing.star. All right, and that's what's actually shown in your book on the top of 814. I did not take all that. I only imported what we actually needed for this program, which was Java x.swing.jlabel rather, and Java x.swing.jpanel. All right, so there's our first one. Good time to save. And then let's come in and do the Bagel panel class. All right, I want to grab this comment because I want my comments to be at least somewhat uniform in nature. So the next one that we want to create is the Bagel panel class. It's a little bit more code. And there's that one. So this is the Bagel panel, which exists in the western portion, I guess, of our screen. All right. The Bagel panel, and again, I'll take this right from out of the book. I guess we want to say this. The Bagel panel class allows the user to select either a white or a whole wheat bagel. Now I should go back for a second and say, why am I doing this? All right, well, I wanted to show you, first of all, we're creating panels, so we're extending JPanel. We've added a label right here that says, welcome to Brandis Bagel House. And remember, that label that you see right there is this, right here. Welcome to Brandis Bagel House. Now we're going to come in, we're going to add this right here. So as you can see, we'll add two radio buttons. All right, and we'll basically put like a group box around them. Then we'll add 4 check boxes with a group box around them, and then 4 more radio buttons with a group box around them. Then we'll add our 2 buttons and we'll pretty much be done then. So we've already done this one. As it says in line 21, the add method is called to add the J label referenced by greeting. It says, notice we are calling the method without an object reference and a dot preceding it. Since it was inherited from the JPanel class, we can just call it directly. So this is what we have so far. Welcome to Brandis Bagel House, and that's it. Again, the Bagel panel class holds the radio buttons for the 2 different types of bagels. As it says, this panel will use a grid layout manager with 2 rows and 1 column. All right, so the class, they start showing it here. So it's here on page, in our book, on 815 and 816. All right, so we're going to do that, and then we'll continue on. So I've got the greeting panel, and here's the Bagel panel. We again want to make sure that this extends JPanel. And the first thing we want to do is declare some constants. Well, I guess, why don't we just add this right away. There we go. So, declare constants. So we have white bagel, and that's equal to 1.25, or it's $1.25. And because I'm a little lazy, I'm just going to copy that. And so we've got white bagel, and we'll have wheat bagel. And the wheat bagel is $1.50. All right, so we've got those two done. Next, declare variables. We're going to run into the same situation here. We have to create our JRadio buttons. And at least at first, we're going to get error messages here because it won't know what it is we're trying to do. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'll click on there and import the JRadio button. So we've now added our JPanel again and our JRadio button. And in the last one we had JLabel and then JPanel. Okay? Alright, I'm just going to save right now. So now, as of right now, we get a couple of yellow things here because we've got things we've declared but we have not yet utilized in the program. That'll change as we go on in here. Alright. There's one more variable we have to create here, and that's a button group that they call BG. Alright, same kind of thing. We're going to have to import that. So that's a third one that we've imported, importing button group. It looks as though, I guess I wasn't even aware of this, but by letting the system add them, not only does it add them, but it adds them in alphabetic order for us. Just kind of a little nicety, a freebie, so to speak. So let's do our constructor. And the first thing we want to do here is to create a grid layout manager with 2 rows and 1 column. Again, what we're creating right now is this: 2 rows, 1 column. Remember that it's, when you declare this and you give it a heading, basically, that's not considered to be another attribute. They're all considered part of the same attribute. All right, so we're just about up to our, right here in our bagel panel, so we're about right there. All right, jump back into our code. So in order to change our layout, we have to do a set layout. We want a new grid layout, and it will have 2 columns and 1 row. I'm sorry, 2 rows and 1 column. All right, well, you'll notice here we're getting another error, so let's highlight that. And it says we want to create a set layout method. We don't have to do that. New grid layout. I think that 2 and that 1 have to be in their own parens. All right, well, that's better. Import the grid layout. Let's do that. Okay, so we added yet another import right there. I thought, well, yep, it is still in alphabetic order. Okay, good. All right. All right, so where we left off right here, we had just set our grid layout. Now we're creating our radio buttons. Then we're going to put them in a group. All right. And then we're going to basically tell the system that we want there to be a border around it. That's the equivalent of our group box. Add the radio buttons to the panel. All right. And then we'll come back and we'll take a look at this. It's pretty simple stuff, but we'll look at that in just a minute. So you'll notice that it says white on there. And also we are setting it to true so that by default we're selecting a white bagel by default. True, no. Syntax error on token true. Delete this token. We don't want to delete the token. We want that to be set like that. So when we get all done, what we want it to actually look like, sorry, I just keep backing up to the picture here. But we want it to look just like this. In other words, two radio buttons, one of which is highlighted, one that says wheat, and one that says, looks like it's, or one that says white, and one that looks like it says whole wheat. Even though I believe they didn't say whole wheat there, they just said wheat. But either way, that's okay. Let's jump back into our code. Not sure why I'm getting an error there, but it doesn't like that as of right now. So we'll leave it there and see if we can get it to work. And I want to change that, I guess, to whole wheat, because that's what it shows in the picture at least. All right, now group the radio buttons. By setting up this button group the way we've done it right there, what we're saying is anything that we're about to add to that button group, create and hold as one unit. And the reason that that is important is we only want the user to be able to choose one or the other. All right, so now we've grouped our radio buttons. Now we want to add our border. And again, we're letting the system find that for us. Okay. So I'm now turning up to page 816. All right, so that's everything that we wanted to do there. I believe that's the end of the constructor. So I'm just going to put that in there just so I have something there. And I'll put a begin constructor right here. All right, so I've got all that done. Time for another comment that says the get bagel cost method returns the cost of the selected bagel. So in other words, it's either, going to return 125 or 150. Pretty obvious, hopefully, as far as what that means and what that's doing. And well, the author doesn't put them in there like that. I'm trying to keep true with the author here. So. Here we go. All right. Declare a variable. And hopefully by now you've all realized this, that I'm getting that error because right now it says that I'm returning a double and I don't have any return statement yet. All right. So the variable I'm going to create is bagel cost. And it's equal to 0.0 for now. And later on we're going to return bagel cost. And you'll notice that once I've done that, that underline goes away. So next we have to determine the selected bagel. So if we selected the white bagel, remember that the cost on that one was $1.25. So here we want to come in and we want to set, come on, thank you, bagel cost. We don't want to hard code it. We've already created a constant with that we called white bagel. And if it's not that, we know that the bagel cost has to be equal to wheat bagel. And then we just return that cost. Put their semicolon on the end, sorry. And here we just return associated bagel cost. All right, so that should be it for that one. I'm still getting an error right there, and I'm not sure how to fix that. But hopefully later at least that'll go away. I'm not sure why that's not. That is the way that you do it. You put in the value and then true or false. But I don't think it goes in double quotes. It doesn't show it there. See, and then I get a different error. I think that is correct, but we'll keep going on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into 3 lectures. I'm done with what I want to get to right now. I'm going to come back in just a minute and do the topping panel and the coffee panel panels. And then I'll put the whole thing together by creating our order calculator GUI.java, which is going to basically put most of our logic in there. And it'll get us to where we've got everything done. And also after I do that one, I'll come in, see if I can find the associated image and have our splash screen also. So I'll be coming back again in just a minute with the topping panel class.